Now, let us come to what types of messages are involved when we talk about interpersonal communication. If theoretically we say, although it's not just theory, it's about how we understand what people say to us or what we say to people. The messages goes in two ways. One is the content message and the other one is relational messages. Content message, when we talk about content message, it's the same. If I want you to have tea, I want you to have tea means same for everybody. If I'll say it to you or to my friend or to my any of the relative, I want you to have tea. But when it comes to the relational message, it's not about the content. I may have said the same sentence to you or to my student or to my teacher, but now the relational message or the relational part of that message will change. Just take, for example, are you available tomorrow in the office? Now, this sentence, if I am asking to the colleague, or if I am asking my friend, or if I am asking to anybody, the content part remains same. It means I am asking whether the person is available in the office tomorrow or not. But when I am asking, something is hidden in this message that tells me that what kind of a relation I carry with that person. If I am asking as a boss, if I am asking my junior that are you available in the office tomorrow, it means somewhere I want to know that if he is available, I have some work and I want to talk about something important with him. So I am asking him whether he is available in the office tomorrow or not. Now, if I am asking the same thing from my friend, are you available tomorrow in office? Maybe I am asking whether he is available for outing or not. That particular relational message or the relational content can be understood by the other person based on the relation he or she carries with you. It's not about the content. It's more about the intent. It's more about the kind of connection we have with people with whom we are talking or with whom we are interacting. The other example is, are you free tomorrow for lunch? Now, this particular sentence I cannot use for my official colleagues. Are you free tomorrow for lunch? That shows somewhere I carry some kind of a bond with this person. That is why I am asking for lunch with him or her. That is what the relational message is all about. Although I am asking simply for a lunch tomorrow, but hidden meaning says that somewhere I know this person. That is why I am able to ask for the lunch with this person. Because I cannot ask for lunch with somebody, that I cannot ask somebody to come for lunch with me and I am not knowing any that person and I am talking to that person for the first time. I cannot ask for lunch. So, what the two things are, one is the content and one is the relational message, that is the intent. So, in interpersonal communication, the important part is that we need to understand that are we understanding both the parts or we are just responding or just talking about the content. When we are saying something to somebody, we must check out the content and the intent, and when somebody is saying something to us, whether your student is saying something to you, don't just think that he is giving you content. He must have some hidden intent also. So that recognizing that intent is important as a good interpersonal communicator, and that will make you a better person, a better personality, and better able to tackle the situations rather than just going on the content. If your content is not matching your actual intent, if they are not in sync with each other, you are going to face problems with any kind of audience you are communicating with. Let's come to the misconceptions. Interpersonal communication, as with anything in the world, there are certain misconceptions which are to be removed if you want to understand the concept. And these misconceptions, if you can remove from your mind, I can assure you that you are going to be a better interpersonal communicator. Now, first is interpersonal communication is a natural ability. We all think that we learned good Hindi, we learned our mother language, now then we learned English, we have talked to so many people, I keep on roaming, I talk to people. It means I have a natural ability to interpersonal communicate with the person, with anybody, although it is not always like that. Because when you talk to people, every time you interact, every time the people get annoyed from you, every time the people don't understand you, every time people misunderstand you, that shows that there is some gap in our communication. It's fine that the other person is not good, but you cannot always say that the other person is not good, because in that way the entire universe is wrong. It's not about the others, it's about me, it's about us. When we are communicating, we are responsible for our words, we are responsible for what we are saying. So interpersonal communication is not a natural ability. It can be developed, it can be learned, it can be practiced, and it is always practiced. Every time you talk to a person, you come to know that this particular topic does not suits him or her. Every time you talk to a person, or your parents talk to you, you must have seen, and you tell your parents, Dad, I told you so many times, please don't talk on this topic, and you again come to this topic. Or you tell your wife that I don't want to talk on this, why you again and again come with this topic. So what does this show? That somewhere we have to understand that what the other person's likings or dislikings are. And based on that, if we want to reduce the conflict or the friction between the relations, we have to understand that this natural ability has to be trained, has to be learned, has to be improved and practiced at each and every point of time. Next is interpersonal communication always solves problem. Now this is one of the biggest misconception which I hope that everybody will agree. Sometimes you go and you talk to a person and the problem becomes more bigger and more complex, because we believe that the more we go closer or the more we talk to the person, the more you become personally interested or personally connected to a person, the problems will get resolved. It's never like that. We have to understand that interpersonal communication is not only about removing the barriers or removing the problems, it can also create problems. So we need to see to what extent we can approach for interpersonal communication and where we need to stop and where we need to back up. Because as with everything, you talk about water, you talk about electricity, you talk about fire. If some good qualities, if you can cook the food on fire, the same fire can ruin your life. If the same water can save your life, the same water can destroy you. The same electricity can make you feel cool and the same electricity can make you feel shock. It's the same with the interpersonal communication. Never think that it is always going to solve the problems. Sometimes it makes your problems more worse than even you can imagine. So be careful and remember that interpersonal communication can make or break the things. Next, interpersonal communication always build close relationship. As I told you earlier, as we discussed also, that it is not necessary that you meet and discuss and talk to the person daily and your bonding becomes more and more and more and more. Sometimes it happens that you talk to a person once in a while, once in a month or once in 3 months, but your bonding is more stronger compared to the one with whom you are talking daily. You go and talk to your boss daily, but it does not mean that your bonding with your boss is better compared to the bonding which you carry with your wife or with your children. Maybe you meet your wife only for a small period of time, only you get once in a week, you go for outing, but your bonding with your partner, your bonding with your parents is not dependent upon the time. So interpersonal relationship is not about the frequency. It is not about the more you do it, the more closer you become. The more you do it, the more bonding you create or you share with the other people. So it is more about the depth of connection or the depth of understanding or the depth of bond which you develop over time based on what the consequences or what the purpose of your communication is. Next comes the interpersonal communication does always advance pro-social desired goals? No. Let's take example of when people become interpersonal to you, when they want to know you personally, not because they are interested in you, because they are interested in their own goals. A waiter sometimes becomes interpersonal, sometimes he treats you specially because he knows that you are going to spend money. You are going to come with your wife daily, you are going to come with your children. So every time you go, he knows that this customer is going to give me the best tip, or he is going to buy my products every time he comes. Then he starts treating you as a special customer, and then he tries to praise your qualities, or they try to what we say, they say good things about you, not because you are actually good, but because he wants you to come and he wants you to buy more, he wants you to eat more, he wants you to visit more, he wants you to stay in their hotel, something like that. So it is not only about the pro-social goals. Sometimes people make bond with you to carry out their personal things, to carry out their personal interests. So that is also one of the things which interpersonal communication has a limitation. But as a learner, I would say that aspect has to be learned, and because that will make you aware about how it could be used, so that people cannot make you distract from your actual goals. If some student is again and again praising you, it does not mean that he likes you. And if some student does not never talks to you, it does not mean that that student does not likes you. Maybe the student who never talks to you respects you more, because he may not be talking to you more, he may not be interpersonally involved with you, but he respects you more for your knowledge, he respects you more for your support. But the other student, he may not be having the knowledge, but that particular student is spending more time with you, is giving you more good comments, he is praising you, he is saying good things about you with 10, sharing with 10 people. That does not mean that the person who is doing more interaction is actually in a good interest for you. That these four myths or misconceptions are very important if you want to become a good interpersonal communicator. And I think after this training, you are going to take care of all these four particular misconceptions, because that will make you a much better communicator when you are dealing with people around you. Now moving to practice from theory, let's go and think critically how we can apply all these skills in our daily communication. The rule 1, we have two rules we will discuss here, and the rule 1 is recognize the fallibility of words and symbols. Fallibility means the lacuna or the gap or the limitations that the words and the symbols have. Always when you are communicating with people, just pay attention, are you and they share the common meanings? Is your meaning same as their meaning, or there is some difference? Must pay attention, because every word has different meaning for everybody, and that meaning differs from time as well as geography. Do not assume all may not be well. When you are communicating with somebody, do not assume that the person is in a good frame of mind, the person is in the right frame of mind, the person is not having a problem, the person is happy. Your boss comes in the morning and you said, boss, I am on the leave for the next week, so you have to manage the project alone. This news cannot be delivered without knowing the background, that what the other person is coming from. Third thing is, remember, you have more opportunities to express. It is not always necessary that you communicate something whenever it comes to your mind, you go and throw the message to the other person. Sometimes you have to wait, sometimes you have to analyze, sometimes you have to see what is the right time to ask for. Suppose you are at your family is going through some drastic loss, and your father is not well, your mother is in also in some worry, and your brother is also not having good grades, getting good grades in school, and you suddenly go and you ask for, I want to go out for 5 days picnic. Do you think that message will be taken as a good message by your family? No, because that message does not syncs with what the current situation is. Whenever you are communicating with any of your relations, maybe they are your friends, colleagues, official colleagues, or your other professionals, always check out that if the time is not correct, if the situation or the circumstances does not allow, you will get the other chances. Wait for the right time, wait for the right opportunity, then deliver your message. Have patience, have courage, and have confidence that you are going to get the next chance, which will be much better than the current one. Now, coming to the rule 2, which is again linked to the critical thinking. Although we have the critical thinking is the other session we are going to discuss in this course, but for the time being, just take as the rule 2 is pay attention to the relational messages. As we discussed, there are two things. One is the content. Whenever somebody says to you, there is one thing, that is content. If he asks you for the tea, it means he is offering you tea. But why he is asking you? That's the relational message. Is he asking you tea to make you go out? Is he asking you tea because he genuinely wants to offer you tea? Or is he asking you tea so that you don't ask for the food? So we have to see what is the relational message or the intent behind the words which are delivered to you or which you deliver to the other person. Check for each word and its content meaning. Now, checking does not mean that you are somewhere communicating and somebody says you something and then you first say that, okay, let me first check the relational message. No, it's not like that. It with experience, with your observation, with your genuine interest in other people, you will definitely understand what actually the other person wants to say. It's not always that they want to harm you. It's not always that they always want to give you something good. It's you have to identify what could be the reason. That comes with experience, with your patience, with your exposure, and the more you explore, the more you get what the relational message is. Next thing is, does content equals to the actual meaning? If somebody is asking you, oh, you want to have tea, is he wants to have tea with you, or he wants to does not want you to have tea? You have to see what actually the other person wants to say through the words, because each and every word, the change in tone, the change in style, the change in expression is telling you what the person's actual intent is and what the content is showing. Next is, meaning is same as intent or not. Meaning of a content and intent of a content, if you can understand and relate both, you will become the best interpersonal communicator, and this is required everywhere. And if anybody can do that, then there is no point you can fail in any communication, because that what the genuine communicators are. Genuine communicators who are actually perceived as genuine, who are good, whom people want to listen, they are the genuine people. They want their content and intent are in sync with each other. They are not in conflict with each other. When talking about practicing interpersonal communication, we all know that interpersonal communication is unavoidable. First of all, you cannot avoid it. You go out, you have to make link with people, you have to communicate with people, you have to get connected to people, because finally you are going to work with people. And the more closer, the more bond you have, you carry with them, or the more you will be praised or appreciated. Next thing, it is necessary also, even if it is avoidable sometimes, but it's necessary. Sometimes you don't like a person, but you have to interact, you have to get in person, you have to establish relation with them, because your job demands that. You go to a customer, customer is not good, customer does not want to talk to you, or you go to the student, student does not likes you as a teacher, but finally you cannot say that the student does not like you, so you don't want to teach him or her, because Your duty is to teach the student. Whether the student likes you or not, that's not your concern. You have to develop good relation with your students. Students have the same applies to the students as well. If the student is says that I don't like the teacher, so I'm not going to study in this school, that cannot be the excuse to be given. So it is sometimes necessary, always unavoidable, and no knowledge is required. For interpersonal communication, it's not about subject knowledge. Even if you don't know your subject, you are a professor of mathematics and your mathematics is not very good, but your interpersonal skills are so good that students do come, they praise you, they know that you are a nice person. So whatever you teach, whatever is the extent of knowledge you are giving to them, they respect that, and that is just because they know that interpersonally you are the best person. It is a skill like any other skill. Number one, interpersonal skill can be learned, can be practiced through observation, through study, and through practice. If you think, you will be able to do it. If you will become aware, you will be able to understand it. And the more you become aware, the more you understand it, the more you try to apply it, the more you become conscious of it, the more expert you become, and the more you will be able to establish bond with other people. Awareness about its main features can make it better. As I said, what the eyes cannot see, the mind cannot perceive. Similarly, if you do not know the basics of interpersonal communication, you will never be able to apply those in your daily life. Here we come with the concept of communication competence. It is the ability to use or share the symbols, words, gestures, body language to create personal connection with the other person. And this communication competence has 6 standards which are to be measured when you are talking to somebody or when you are communicating using any channel. And these are: first is fidelity, the second is appropriateness, third is satisfaction, fourth is effectiveness, fifth is efficiency, and the last one is ethics. We'll just have a brief of all these 6 standards, and these you don't have to learn these standards. What you have to see is what the meaning or what the intent or what the importance of these are when you are communicating with anybody. First, if we talk about fidelity, if we are talking about fidelity, we actually are talking about, is there clarity of what we are saying? Is there any disturbance when we are communicating with the other person? Suppose I am communicating with you and suddenly some voice comes from background and my lecture gets distorted or you don't understand that. Will that be a good? No. You get annoyed. That is what the fidelity is about. Suppose I am talking and suddenly I start using some jargon which you people don't understand. If you don't understand that jargon, you are going to miss the point and you will not be interested. If I say something like MIGVC, are you having these? And you don't know what it is about. So this is about fidelity. That when you are giving the message, there should be no disturbance, there should be no jargon, there should be no words or the gestures or something which you people don't understand or which are actually the obstruction to the actual message which I want to deliver to you. That could be the background noise, that could be the noise of traffic. Next, we talk about appropriateness. I am sitting in a class, I am talking to you, and I am talking about interpersonal communication. And suddenly I start talking about some movie which is not at all linked to the session, or I start asking you about the tea, or start asking about you, how about your family? Can you tell me something about your mother, or can you tell me something about how you are doing in your studies? Which will become irrelevant to the current concept or the current context that we carry. Appropriateness means whenever we are communicating with somebody, we need to check whether we are on the same page or not, whether our context is clear to us and the others is not, whether we are talking in sync with what we are talking or we are going out of the topic which is of no interest to the other person to whom we are talking with. That is all about appropriateness. Third is satisfaction. Whether you are talking to your friends, or you are talking to your colleagues, or you are talking to your students, you must have felt that sometimes you go and you meet a customer, you go and meet your teacher, go and meet your student. When you come back, you feel very good, you feel satisfied, you feel energized, you feel enjoyment that you have done something good. Every communication must be satisfying. When you are talking to somebody, always try that the other person is not going out or not feeling bad or sad when he is talking to you. He should feel energized, he should feel satisfied whether he is sad and you are going to talk to him, and when you talk to him he felt at least less sad because you gave some kind of a good option or some kind of a good motivation to that person. That person becomes energized when you talk to him. So if you can add satisfaction part to your communication, especially the interpersonal communication, that of course gives you edge, because people want to connect with those who motivates them, who encourages them, who inspire them. People don't want to talk to the people who makes them dull, who makes them sad, who makes them feel demotivated. So all those people are never appreciated. So satisfaction is another important aspect that has to be always there when you are doing interpersonal communication with anybody. Next is effectiveness. Effectiveness means whatever you want to do, are you doing the same thing? Suppose a customer comes in a store and the guy starts talking about, sir, you are looking very smart, you are very nice, your shirt is very nice, but finally he is not able to bring that customer and sell something out. If the final outcome is not there, whatever the interpersonal communication you are doing, that goes fail. If you go talk to a person and if the person is talking to you and you are enjoying the talk, but finally he says that, okay, I am going now, I am not interested in you, thanks for this, thanks for the good interaction, I am going, bye, and I don't want to talk to you again, and I don't want to share my even my mobile number with you. Do you think that that kind of an communication is effective? No, because as I said, the purpose of interpersonal communication is to create bond, and if that bond is not created, and if the purpose of that creation of that bond is not fulfilled, it means somewhere there is a gap in your communication. Maybe your communication is not genuine, or it may be that somewhere your communication is not in sync with his or her frame of mind. It is not always your mistake that the communication goes wrong. Sometimes some of the factors are not in your control, that those factors you don't need to worry about. We just have to focus what we can do with our skills and how we can improve to make the better outcomes maybe next time. Next comes the efficiency. Efficiency means, suppose you talk to the customer for 2 hours and after that he comes to you, okay, I am very happy with your talk, you are very nice, you talk very nicely, give me one candy. After 2 hours of talk, he just buy candy from you. Do you think that's efficient? No. Efficiency means how much output you can get out of your communication, what the purpose for which you are doing the entire activity of communication. If that is not coming out, then there is no point of saying that your communication is efficient. Next comes the ethics. Now this is although very relative subject to be discussed, but here I would like to say that in every communication, in every culture or any geography, there are certain norms that the society makes which are not written anywhere, but they are always implied. You cannot use certain language with your official colleagues. You can't use some greetings with your father, with your parents, with your wife. You cannot use certain words with your professional fraternity, and you cannot make some gestures or some body languages in front of your colleagues. So what all these are, you need to be aware of. When you are talking to people, just think that they are also from a society, they are also from certain kind of a culture, they also respect some things. You need to understand, even if there is a difference in religion or some difference in culture or in difference in your country, let's say. So maybe you want to shake hands, they may not. You can say friend, but they cannot. You can hug them or they can hug you, but you cannot. Why this is so? This is because their ethics, their culture is different from yours. When you are talking to your sister, you can use certain words. When you are talking to your girlfriend, you can use certain words. When you are talking to your mother, you can use certain words. But they cannot be interchanged. They cannot be replaced with each other. Why? Because that is what defines the relational message that is there in your content. That so these 6 standards are important to develop your communication competence.